this is the wild part. She has a PhD in turmeric.
For sure. I love talking about sleep. Sleep is a big deal, and I don't get how people are living without good sleep. Like, I am not a nice person if I don't get sleep.
Every doctor I talk to say that's the biggest complaint in their office right now. So that's definitely an area that needs more focus.
And this ancient wisdom means the science of life, Ayurveda.
Just what you're describing seems like such a healthy departure from Western medicine, the pill for every ill approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nowadays we've been trained to think we can just do whatever we want all day, run at the doctor's office, and they'll magically solve the problem.
Well, welcome. We're back for another episode. Glad you guys are able to join us. We appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Give us 5 stars, give us those likes, and keep coming back for more episodes. We've expanded the content considerably in the last month or so at the time of this podcast. And we've been really getting great feedback. So we really appreciate you guys checking us out and tuning in every week. And we'll try to keep the content flowing for you. And today, we got a really incredible guest. We're diving into an area I've never really explored before, and I've always wanted to learn about it. She's a doctor. She's been featured on podcasts like Boss Mom, 5 a.m. Miracle, as well as publications like Mind, Body, Green, and Mantra Wellness. Our guest today is an Ayurvedic practitioner with over 20 years of experience studying Ayurveda in the U.S. and in India. And this is the wild part. She has a PhD in turmeric. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, so I can't wait to dive into that. She utilizes ancient tools and strategies from Ayurveda and the healing power of turmeric for reversing low-grade inflammation and gut dysbiosis. She's an expert in preventing autoimmune disorders and chronic health diseases while improving longevity and vitality. We're really happy to have on the podcast today Dr. Shivani Gupta. Dr. Shivani, thanks so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So first off, I'd like you to define Ayurvedic medicine. I know it originates from South Asia, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and I've seen it, I've heard about it, I've read it in holistic circles over the years, but give us a detailed explanation of what it is.
So Ayurveda is an ancient system of medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. And this ancient wisdom means the science of life, Ayurveda. And what's really cool is it encompasses these pillars of health that we've kind of forgotten about. We think of health as just I go through my day and I survive. And Ayurveda teaches us that it's all about our circadian rhythm and living in accordance to the rhythms of nature. We teach about something called your mind-body constitution, your individual constitution that defines your rhythm for the day and how to eat and when to eat and how to really manage every aspect of your life through your dosha or mind-body constitution. We teach about the gut digestive fire, or Agni, and how managing that campfire is key to your metabolism and your vitality and your health overall. Then we teach the sattvic diet, this diet that's nourishing and brings wholeness. So our body is complete and feels like it's healthy. And I mean, the diet alone is so important because otherwise we're not giving our body what it needs. And then we teach a lot about sleep because circadian rhythm sleep is intricately tied together. And finally, we teach a lot about detoxing as well. So clearing out what doesn't need to be there and then putting in the good stuff.
Wow. I love the aspect of the circadian rhythm because I think that's what a lot of people have lost today. There's so much chronic sleep disorder conditions in America. Every doctor I talk to say that's the biggest complaint in their office right now. So that's definitely an area that needs more focus.
For sure. I love talking about sleep. Sleep is a big deal, and I don't get how people are living without good sleep. Like, I am not a nice person if I don't get sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. And we'll dive into that a little bit more. But so I want to ask you, how does Ayurvedic medicine differ from traditional Chinese medicine? They both come from similar regions in the world. They both date back like thousands of years, and they both embody like a holistic approach to medicine, right?
Absolutely. I think they're very similar. There's so many aspects. They talk about chi and we talk about prana. So prana is our word for life force energy, and they talk about chi, qigong, moving that energy, moving that blood flow and energy through the body. They use things like acupuncture. We use the nadis and the meridians to move energy through the body as well. They talk about the elements. So they have a different 5 elements than us, but truly we're all talking about nature's elements and how we are intricately tied to those elements, and those are the dominating forces in our lives. They teach about having a self-care ritual and practice to your life and a rhythm that's very similar to what we talk about. They use the super spices as well. They like turmeric and ginger and ashwagandha and a lot of the spices that we use. We probably have some things that are different, but a lot that are in common as well. So I really love traditional Chinese medicine. I go to acupuncture. I love understanding it. I find more similarities than not.
It seems like such a healthy departure from, I mean, and I've received care from TCM doctors in the past for many years. Never Ayurvedic medicine though, but it just what you're describing seems like such a healthy departure from Western medicine, the pill for every ill approach. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
nowadays we've been trained to think we can just do whatever we want all day, run at the doctor's office, and they'll magically solve the problem. And I
right.
think what's good is in the last few years we've woken up to this idea that we have to be sovereign and independent and build our health and address root causes, or we're never going to win at those health struggles.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you mentioned sleep earlier, and that Ayurveda has a lot of emphasis on sleep. Talk about that. How does that modality address sleep issues?
So in Ayurveda, we teach this concept called the circadian clock. And the circadian clock is really nature's clock. And what's cool is in the last few years, 3 scientists won a Nobel Peace Prize for proving that the circadian clock and circadian rhythm is valid. So what's cool is a lot of modern science is proving what Ayurveda always said. So in
Mhm.
Ayurveda, we kind of laugh. We're like, we already knew that. But for our modern scientific mind, at least it's proving all these theories and showing the basis of why. And so chronobiology and this understanding that our cells, down to the smallest elements, all follow and align to nature's clock. So when we think to ourselves, I can sleep anytime I want, I can nap and wake up when I want, that's simply not true if you want to have good health. And so, what circadian rhythm is basically saying is at 10 o'clock, we have a melatonin release in the body. It's our job to go to sleep at 10 and be supported by that melatonin release, not stay on our phones, not stay on our devices, on our laptops, surrounded by electronics,
Yeah.
and ruining that opportunity to leverage the melatonin and hormone releases for a good night's sleep. And so, 10 to 2, that top of your clock, is actually the most important time to sleep, because that's when the body clears out inflammation, clears out the lymphatic system. So I think of it as these little green garbage trucks that come out, and they come out into my brain and they clean up any thoughts and anything negative, anything that accumulated throughout the day. Come into my heart, do the same for emotions, into the gut, all the processed junk and things we ate that the gut didn't know what to do with, cleans those out as well, so we can release it all in the morning. And one thing we don't realize is we can accumulate up to 3 pounds of lymphatic waste in the brain if we do not give ourselves restorative sleep. So it's a very powerful fact. We could all be walking around with 3 pounds of trash in our brains that we didn't clear because we think we're night owls and we have to
Yeah.
push the midnight oil and burn the midnight oil and keep going. So
Yeah.
sleep is the integral piece of the puzzle. And if we don't sleep properly, we'll never clear that inflammation, never clear the lymphatic system, and really we're a body full of waste that's never getting cleared out.
Yeah. Do you think are you saying that napping's bad then, in your opinion?
Napping can be bad if you don't have the sleep pressure to then sleep on time. Now, some people are in chronic sleep deficits and they're just exhausted. But from
Mhm.
what I've seen, if you're going to take a big old nap, you're not going to sleep at 10 o'clock at night. So it depends on you. If you have enough activity and exhaustion to still sleep properly at night and your sleep scores are coming out good for that sleep to be restorative, then fine, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I once read somewhere, and I can't remember where now, but it was if it's a short nap, if it's like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're good. But if you start getting into those later sleep cycles, then you start messing things up. If you wake up groggy and not rested, entered into that phase that you shouldn't enter in the daylight hours. Does that sound accurate to you?
Yeah, and now that I think about it in Ayurveda, we talk about like moving for 15 minutes after a meal to help process that meal. But also in the afternoon, you can take a little rest, like lie down and rest before
Hmm.
you're entering that next phase of your day. So it's
Yeah.
okay, but don't overdo it and then impact sleep.
Yeah. So you've got, this is so cool. You have a PhD in turmeric. So that's wild. Like, tell me about that.
So I have always been chronically sick my whole life. I grew up going to India and I'd just be disastrously sick and they take me to the doctor and I probably took antibiotics 100 times in my childhood. No exaggeration. And
Wow.
so by the time I got to college, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Like, why am I defective and everyone else gets to have an immune system? And
Yeah.
that led me to telling my parents, look, we're in the land of yoga and Ayurveda. Maybe they have a solution for me. And I went
Yeah.
on this quest. And when I studied Ayurveda there under all the gurus, I was like, you guys have it right. Like this system works. So when I got back after a bit, I did my master's in Ayurvedic sciences because I wanted to write books to impact the world. And while I was sitting in herbology class, they were teaching us about the spices. So cumin, ginger, cilantro, and turmeric. All of these spices and the adaptogen groups like ashwagandha are so powerful. And I thought, gosh, all this time I could have taken turmeric and it would have solved everything.
Yeah.
Turmeric is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it's a huge support for longevity. And so that's when I thought, okay, I need to learn more. And my advisor was like, you should get a PhD. And I was like, that's going to take too long. And I have no such patience. And he's like, no, trust me. Like, if you had to pick a topic, what would you pick? I said, well, I'd studied turmeric because I think there's this huge space where turmeric, based on the current science, has a place in Western medicine as an adjunct solution that they could use. They just need to understand how to trust it. And so I did the PhD, which made me a crazy evangelist of turmeric. Like anytime someone comes to me with a problem, I'm like, you can take turmeric for that. You can take turmeric for that. It's
Yeah.
like in the big fat Greek wedding where they love Windex. I love turmeric in the same way. I'm like, throw some turmeric on it. It'll fix anything. Trust me.
Yeah.
And that led me to building a company around it because I was like, I wonder if I can compel orthopedic medicine, rheumatology, all these systems to use turmeric for pain as a natural solution. And so that's
Mhm.
what led me on that path later. But studying turmeric was like a game changer for me because it does so much. Like I could do another PhD on ashwagandha if I have time because each spice has tens of thousands of studies and their application in modern day times as we suffer so much with disease is going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. So, did you study like Western research, peer-reviewed literature, or did you study literature that came from India, like ancient usage and stuff? What did you study to get that?
So ancient usage was mostly topical or the spice. It wasn't
Okay.
what modern day science has proven now. So in ancient times, you could take turmeric, put it in your whole milk, which was a healthy fat. It would absorb and it would do the job. Or you could just take it topically and it just helped because it's antibacterial in nature.
Hmm.
I studied it more from the Western science standpoint. So in
Okay.
Western science, we've got knee osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, like heart disease, GI issues. So I went disease by disease and studied turmeric and made my points. And it's interesting because now my PhD is almost 8 years, 6 years old. 6 years old. And so now I present so much on the science at medical conferences. I present at neurology and orthopedic conferences. And the new science coming out is even more compelling. Like doctors
Yeah.
text me from all over and they're like, did you
Wow.
read about curcumin ulcerative colitis? Did you read the British Medical Journal on curcumin with PPIs? They're equivalent. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's
Yeah.
very exciting stuff about turmeric right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. What's the response been from like the conventional community? Because sometimes you get a little standoffish with stuff like this, right? That's been
Yeah,
my experience.
yeah, it was a rough first, I would say, 8 years. I've learned a lot about patience. It was a very long road, I would say, for about 8 years, and then I met my mentors, and they sat me down, and they were like, "Why did you pick the toughest doors? Why are you calling on orthopedics? Pick
Yeah.
the easy doors. There's a lot of easy doors of people who already understand what you're saying, And
Yeah.
then when you have more momentum, you can reach out to those tough doors again. So now I speak to functional medicine, chiropractic, nutritionists, registered dietitians, and everyone just gets it. They're like, of course, we all need a potent, clean curcumin. It works. And when I have free time, I just speak at the orthopedic conferences. I present them the science. And then those who are open, who can see, like, okay, I'll just offer an adjunct solution. Those people say yes. So it's just about how you get in front of them and how you present it in a very like non-threatening, hey, offer an adjunct solution. If it doesn't work, kick it out of your practice.
Yeah.
But what's cool is post-pandemic, people are being asked about it more and more. Like every doctor's like, gosh, everyone asks me about turmeric. I'm like, cool, then offer one.
Yeah.
So it's gotten way easier since the pandemic.
Yeah. That's wild. I had once a doctor from India who I told him he was going through, my daily regimen, and I've used turmeric off and on for many years. And he's like, "Why do you take turmeric?" And I was like, "Anti-inflammatory, just the health benefits. I mean, they're numerous." And he's like, "This is funny. Here you are, an American, taking turmeric, and I'm from India, and I'm eating hot dogs."
It's
Which
true.
I just thought was funny, right? Like I
It's
was
true.
schooling him. It's like this comes from your homeland, not mine.
I know. I was just in India a few months ago and I was meeting with my suppliers in Hyderabad and in Bombay. Mumbai now is how they say it. And it was just interesting because I've grown up. I'm 43 now. I've watched India change over the 30 years of my life that I've watched it. We have exported our culture to such a detriment around the world. And
Mhm.
now what's good is there's been a resurgence. I think pandemic caused it, but people are coming back around to let's have ginger lemon tea in the morning. Let's sleep
Yeah.
on time. Let's walk more in nature. So a lot of the Ayurvedic wisdom came back, but so much more of it needs to come back for us to
So it's been
actually.
abandoned, you're saying? It was abandoned in India?
It was abandoned because India was
Why?
colonized by the British. And when
Ah,
Western culture, which came across the world, I'm not saying it was bad, it just happened.
yeah.
As
Yeah.
Western civilization came in, what was trusted was Western medicine. That's been the trusted source forever. And so now you see this shift back to thank you, Western medicine. You guys are still awesome. We love you. Thank you for operating on us. And naturopathic, homeopathic, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic, chiropractic. I mean, people are reaching now into all the alternative toolkits because we're each so bio individual. Like, even I have to constantly look at, well, that's not working now. As I'm in my next decade, I'm going to shift. So
Yeah.
it's been really cool to see how people reach into the toolkits differently, even in
Yeah.
India,
Yeah, definitely. You
even in
can't beat ancestral medicine. I mean, you got to look at that first and foremost, see what your ancestors did, right?
exactly what worked for
Yeah.
millennia for us.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, one thing I love about my gig is I get to talk to experts and I can pull free advice from them. So, I want to ask you what this is what I do. I take and I cycle this, but I do a teaspoon of turmeric. I put some organic pepper on it and a little bit of coconut oil for that fat to absorb it. Is that a good way to take it?
Absolutely. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I teach is out of the entire turmeric plant, only 3% is the curcuminoids, and out of those three curcuminoids, curcumin is the most effective at reducing inflammation. So in India, most people don't eat fresh turmeric, which is what we're really into here in the US right now.
Mhm.
People are juicing it, they're using it in different ways. In India, that's kind of like a radish. We don't really use it. We dry it into a spice. The spice is good for you. Incorporate it into your food in the way you're talking about, black pepper or a healthy fat that will increase the absorption. We know black pepper increases the absorption 2000%, which is profound. And then if you want a significant dose from turmeric because you want a benefit that you know you need, then take it in supplement form. Because when we pull a supplement, we're extracting curcumin. And in my case, I do it at the right proportion, at the right potency, so that it's well absorbed by the body and creating a significant therapeutic result in the body. And so the way I look at it is in modern day times, we have so many factors that are causing inflammation. We've got the blue light, we've got the technology, the EMFs, the water, air, food quality, all bad. So because we have so much coming at the body and causing inflammation, I like a defense system in place. It's pushing it away. And so that's why I think curcumin supplementation is important for us because it's chronic low grade persistent inflammation that's causing most of the problems we have.
Yeah, definitely. So, is somebody better off taking curcumin over turmeric? Like what's better?
I think so. Based on all my
Really?
research, based on all the studies I did, I mean, I researched curcumin for years. It's curcumin, the extract, that's driving the majority of the result. Now, as an Indian, I still eat turmeric powder. It's still in my dinner every single day of my life. I think
Yeah.
that's good. But as a modern day woman leading an impact driven, stressed out life, raising kids and doing everything else that modern day life has us doing, I don't think that covers me at all in terms of the inflammation and low grade inflammation my body's battling with.
Wow. That's good to know. So maybe I'll switch to curcumin.
Yeah, I think it's better for all of us. And then I think we should
Mhm.
also cycle through our supplements. No one needs to take anything year round. Like
Yeah.
add in and cycle out of things.
Yeah. So I always knew turmeric was amazing. We did an episode on it a couple years ago. And like you say, research is always emerging, but I had no idea it was antifungal and it helped with dysbiosis.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
It does so much. It's actually
Yeah.
kind of crazy. I'm studying with a professor at Clemson University about why is it that our genes, our body, our pathways, like why is it that everything interacts, not everything, but almost everything interacts with curcumin so well? Like what
Mhm.
is that? It's just one of those very few plants that has so many different pathways in. And so because it impacts TNF alpha, NF kappa B, so many of the interleukins, so many pathways are affected. It's almost like the way I've seen it anecdotally in the last couple of years, when people take it, whatever big problem they have, it solves that one first, then the medium, then the small. So someone will say, my knee pain is gone, my hip pain is gone, my back pain is gone. That's the big. And then they'll be like, and yet now my gingivitis is gone. Isn't that weird? And I'm like, well, gingivitis ends in itis. Any itis is inflammation. So
Yeah.
it's just handling the big stuff and then it gets to the small stuff next.
Yeah. That's incredible. And does it affect the good bugs in your gut, or does it just kill the bad guys? Because, obviously you're saying it deals with dysbiosis. Like, how does it impact your microbiome as a whole?
What's good about turmeric is it's plants. And I've seen that when it comes to the Ayurvedic plants that we use most often, they have an intelligence. So
Mhm.
it's adaptogenic in nature. Excuse me. It's going to go in there and whatever's bad gets rid of it, whatever's good it keeps it. Like it knows how to work within the system to achieve the goal. Like it's interesting, turmeric even kills off your zombie cells. So as we age, we have these zombie cells that accumulate that just start running into everything, infecting everything and causing trouble, and our body normally gets rid of our zombie cells, but as we age everything slows down and everything doesn't clear as much, and turmeric will kick out the zombie cells and it'll reverse oxidation and the things that are causing oxidative stress. And we know oxidative stress is like our body rusting over time. So it's undoing the rust, not just wiping it out, but undoing what's causing it.
Yeah.
So that's so
Yeah. One of my favorite cancer docs, and we've had him on in the past. We're going to have him on again. Dr. Patrick Vickers, amazing individual, uses it in an anti-cancer regimen as well. Has very, very potent anti-cancer properties. Are you talking about the zombie cells, like the programmed cell death?
yes,
That is that the
apoptosis.
same thing? Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you
So
research
it's very helpful
curcumin,
in that, right?
yeah, it'll kill off the cells that are not meant to be there. It'll kind of
Yeah,
clean house, which is really nice.
yeah. That's fantastic. Talk more about inflammation. You're saying that people's pain, chronic pain, seems to clear up when it's based on inflammation, and obviously that's a huge problem for people today. You've spoken at conferences about this. You know, I know there's labs out there where people can run and see if there's lingering inflammation in the body. Talk about how it squashes that.
So it's interesting. Inflammation can be caused by a number of factors. I have like a wheel in my brain, the image I use in my presentations: environmental toxins, environmental pollutants, viruses, bacteria, cigarette smoke, stress, the foods we eat, so frying foods, sometimes over grilling foods, seed oils, any inflammatory foods can cause it as well. There's so many different things that can cause inflammation in the body, but there's not much that we do as society to reduce that inflammation. We're like, I'm just going
Yeah,
to keep eating and keep stressing and keep sleeping poorly, and my body will figure it out. And I'll just keep throwing stuff
yeah,
in my stomach like it's a trash compactor. And I'm sure my body knows how to figure out what to do with it. And so we're running around in this society so inflamed. And one of my mentors taught me, he said, look, in your 20s, you go through, and sometimes in college, you have all-nighters and you eat poorly and you have stress, maybe your first heartbreaks, like all the initial stuff, and you turn on the light switches of inflammation in the body. When you go through your 30s, those light switches are still on. When did you do like a profound detox to reduce that inflammation? You likely didn't. And so you go through building up more stresses, more life changes, all the things, 40s. Finally, by the time we get to 40s now, but back in the day it was 50s, our body starts getting really loud. We've got joint pain, chronic joint pain. The body is slowing down. Our brain is not working the same. Our gut and digestion is not working the same. All of my friends were all in our 40s. We're like, oh, aging, it sucks. My brain is slower. My hormones are different. Weight gain is so hard. Like all the complaints. And we blame it all on aging, but it's not aging. It's inflammaging. And so whenever you have one of those complaints, pause and think about, have I changed something in my diet? Have I changed something in my behavior? Am I sleeping well? Because if not, it's probably this chronic, low-grade, persistent inflammation, which is like this fire that's burning inside of us, causing a forest fire, and we just don't know about it. And I knew that because when I finally saw what happened to my family, I kept asking, like, why is it that everyone's dying of the advanced stages of diabetes? Like, what is this? And I learned inflammation is the root cause of metabolic disease. And so that's why I'm so passionate about, okay, we're going to do cool things in life. Don't you want to be able to keep doing them? You have to beat inflammation then. You have to shut down that inflammation.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Switching gears here, tell us about your book. It's called A Conscious Pregnancy. Sorry, I'm messing this up. Do you believe this? It's your book and I'm messing it up. The Conscious Pregnancy, a spiritual and practical approach to creating a Zen baby. Tell us about that.
Sure. So I was doing my master's, and my passion at the time, because I had very young kids and I was between my two kids, was pregnancy. I do feel like here in the West, we approach pregnancy and birth in this really crazy way where we're like, I'm pregnant. And then we run at that birth room at 200 miles an hour, have some sort of traumatic experiences. And afterwards, we want to bounce back like Heidi Klum. And yet we don't understand why our kids are crazy. And so I kept watching that journey because my husband is 7 years older. And I kept watching everyone around me. And I was like, I'll do it better, which we all think that, which is 100% untrue. But I kept digging into Ayurveda and saying, what is it that Ayurveda says? So Ayurveda has a lot of opinions around how you conceive, when you conceive, how you have and manage a pregnancy, birth and post-birth. We're meant to honor post-birth as like an entire trimester unto itself. And so I wrote that book as my master's thesis because I had to get that book done. Like it had to birth out of me. And I don't even teach much about pregnancy. I just happen to be passionate that we are honoring ourselves at that time. And now recently I wrote to a book proposal to Hay House because I'm very passionate now, this many years later, on Ayurveda and inflammation and circadian rhythm. And Hay House said yes. So I'm going to be writing, I already wrote, a Hay House book that'll come out January 2026 on Ayurveda and inflammation. So I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like my
great.
life dream to write a book for them. So
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's exciting.
thank you. It's like my whole life achievement is going to be that book.
That's great. And you're only 43, so you're just going to keep achieving at the
Yeah,
rate you're going.
we'll see what's next.
It sounds like you're on a roll.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, that's interesting that you touch on just pregnancy and how many unhealthy pregnancies there are. Obviously, conceiving a child is so taxing on the mother's body. You have this other living being inside you, like literally robbing you of nutrients. And so if you're already living a life that's depleted of nutrients, you're overly stressed, you're not resting, that just takes so much more out of you. And, I read a statistic not too long ago where, mothers who have just given birth are coming down with cancer and these illnesses that we didn't see 20 and 30 years ago because their bodies are just stripped of nutrients. And now they're, having their baby and breastfeeding and all those things. And they just don't have the resilience to continue. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And it really worried me when I chose to have my first child when I was just about 30. And I thought, what am I going to do to have a beautiful, healthy child who doesn't have a chronic disease? Because from what I was seeing, every household has a child with a chronic disease, and it creates this mother warrior who has to go out there and solve this issue. And that's why you see this huge prevalence. It's one of the reasons you see a huge prevalence into organic living and organic stuff for children and all that. And then also, what do we do for ourselves? Because if we don't come out healed, we'll never be the same. And so
Right.
Ayurveda teaches, like, when it comes to the elements, post baby, you're in a very wind time. Like, there's just, you're raw and you're wide open. And so, how do
Mhm.
you close yourself up and warm and nourish the body? So, we have a tradition where your mom comes and takes care of you for 40 days and you just chill out and enjoy baby. And so,
Yeah.
that happened for me. My mom came and fed me and loved me. And I have a magical little Anya who's so, like, she's a diplomat. She's a little sovereign queen in the world. And and I think we can all have these beautiful, healthy beings who then, I also thought of it as, I still impact my mother's life. I'm in my 40s. She's going to impact my life for the rest of my life. So what if I made a Zen baby as opposed to a hyper, whatever the alternative is?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just all the ADD that's out there today, and so many kids being born into the autism spectrum in one way or another. It's humanity's not headed to a good place health wise, you know. It's a little
Yeah.
scary.
It is scary.
Um
So we have to band together and keep educating and keep supporting each other.
yeah, definitely. So depending on where people live, they might not have access to an Ayurvedic doctor. You know, they're not everywhere in America at least. What are some of the principles somebody can adapt into their lives easily just on their own that you would recommend?
You know, I love teaching something called the Ayurvedic self-care rituals. And so one of those is using a copper tongue scraper every day. Do you use a tongue scraper by any
I
chance?
don't, but I keep hearing about them.
Okay, so Ayurveda teaches us that if you buy a copper tongue scraper, all you have to do is scrape the tongue gently 7 to 14 times in the morning. And just like in ancient Chinese medicine and reflexology, all the organs of the body are reflected on the bottom of your feet. In the same way, all the organs are reflected on the tongue. And so by gently scraping the tongue, you're massaging all the organs of the body, you're detoxing them gently, you're removing this film from the tongue, this white film that indicates that we have ama or toxins in our system, and you're igniting the digestive fire, and you're also increasing your taste buds' ability to taste food, which is good because you'll eat less if you can actually taste your food properly.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you will.
Yeah.
So using a tongue scraper is a very simple tool, and it's oral health connected to gut microbiome health. So I love that. It's like free and simple. You can buy a tongue
Yeah.
scraper for $6. Mine has lasted me 2 decades now. I haven't had to change it. And another one is oil pulling. So oil pulling is becoming popular
I
on.
do that just for the record.
Good job. So oil
Yeah,
pulling
but
is
sorry,
being
go on.
it's
Yeah.
being taught on TikTok a lot right now, and people are like, "Yeah, I learned coconut oil pulling from TikTok." I'm like, "Cool." Make sure you spit it into the trash, not your sink, toilet, or shower. You will clog the
Okay.
pipes of your home, and you will not be happy about that.
Okay.
But that basically means taking about 2 tablespoons of oil, putting it in the mouth, 1 to 2, and you move it around the mouth, swish it around the mouth for 5 to 20 minutes. What I love about this is we can multitask. We can make our morning coffee and walk around and get ready for the day, shower with that oil in your mouth. And then when you finally spit it out, all the toxins that accumulate in our mouth are going to go. And instead of ending up again in our gut microbiome, we're cleansing from the top, and our cleaner mouth is then going to be clearer at sending our signals to our gut for our digestive enzymes and things like that. So those are two simple ones, but Ayurveda has so many like that. I teach doshas online. Like my YouTube channels have tons of videos on this. So I just want the world to start practicing these things. And then if you need real help, then fine, go to a practitioner. But just incorporating the self-care can create a profound impact.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I have to give a big shout out to my wife because she's the one that put me on to oil pulling. She's been doing it forever,
Nice.
and I resisted, and then I started. I don't have the best teeth. I've had a lot of cavities in my life, and you know, she read somewhere that it's good for dental health as well, just because of the antimicrobial properties of coconut oil. Is
Exactly.
that accurate?
Exactly. And we know that dental health, oral health is tied to heart health. Modern science showed us that. But isn't it interesting that this 5,000-year-old science already had this intuitive toolkit that they used. And Ayurveda very much loves oil. So we believe in oil pulling, head oil massage, full body oil massages. Like gift yourself oil and that will always gift you back.
What about ingesting, like cooking with oils? Is that considered safe? And if so, which ones? We always hear about these seed oils that aren't the best, cooking them at high temperatures, and they become rancid. What's your
Exactly.
take on all that?
So seed oils are bad. They are inflammatory. Modern day industrial processes are selling us garbage that's just inflammatory, which sucks. So now I go to restaurants and I'm like, oh God, every time I eat a processed food, there's no processed food I can find without a seed oil, which drives
Right,
me crazy. There's
right.
this app called Bobby Approved. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Mm-mm.
this guy, Bobby Parrish, teaches online so much about health. So I use his app and every food I buy at Sprouts or Whole Foods or at my health food stores has seed oils, and I'm like, I can't win no matter what I do. So the goal is eat whole foods, no processed, right?
Yeah.
But in Ayurveda we love ghee. Ghee is like our purified butter. We cook with it. We put it on top for good gut oleation. So I use ghee a lot, or we use avocado oil in our house as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can't do the ghee. It's the lactose, I think.
Yeah,
It messes me up.
yeah,
So I've tried it. It tastes great on potatoes,
yeah,
but yeah, I couldn't do it. I always see it on the shelf when I'm at Trader Joe's and I'm
yeah,
like, man, I want that, but
yeah.
my body says no.
We're all so different, right? It's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So tell us about your supplement line, Fusionary Formulas.
Yes. So about 8 years ago, no, actually, it's 10 years ago now. As I was doing the PhD, as I was finishing it, as I was telling everyone turmeric works for everything, my family looked at me and they were like, if you're going to really say that to everybody, which turmeric are you going to recommend? And I went on this search and I couldn't figure out whose turmeric was better because of how many games we play on the labels in the supplement world. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to create my own and I'm going to prove, like, I'm going to go for the highest standard on earth and see if I made a medical grade curcumin, if it could impact all of Western medicine. That was my goal. And tiny little goal, little girl, big mountain. I don't think I understood the mountain I created for myself in this lifetime. But the formula I created really worked. So I worked with the best suppliers. I manufactured it in the US. I went to these doctors and I was like, look, I created this for purity and potency. Try it on your patients. And they saw the difference and they started combining my two main formulas. So we're most well known for the turmeric gold I created as a daily preventive. I made inflammation relief as like when you're inflamed. And then most people take the combo for their chronic joint pain. And so we're just known as like the best turmeric. And then after that, I got bored because I like to create new things. I was like, I have to create more for the world. So I made sleep gummies, sleep teas, then I made a menopause tea. So I'm always kind of innovating and playing with the adaptogens and spices and trying to see, can I make a tea that's as strong as a supplement? Like, how do we drive results in the body, but just using simple plants that when
Yeah.
you source them right and you do it at the right potency and we do the proper third party testing and all, then we're driving that pure result that people want. So I'm really excited about it. I love that we win at pain and we help people keep their hand function and their body functioning.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What are some of the Ayurvedic herbs that are helpful with sleep and even just stress reduction to relax to get to sleep?
We have a lot. So Brahmi is really good. Brahmi is an adaptogen, helps with brain and calming the mind. Ashwagandha is like our most well known. It's becoming very popular right now. So ashwagandha is neuroprotective, it's neurocognitive, and it's adaptogenic because when you're stressed and anxious, it'll calm you down a few notches. And if you're feeling the blues or depressed or low, it'll lift you up. So I love that it's constantly calibrating to you. We love cardamom for sleep. The sleep tea I made, I put osmanthus flower and different things like that. Then I made a new tea called unwind tea for those of us who need help unwinding, but we don't want to reach for a glass of wine. We know like wine and alcohol is not good for the brain. So I have a lot of people who are like, I need something to chill out, but I don't want to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And so unwind tea has rhodiola, ashwagandha, all these herbs that will just relax the mind. So I love
Mhm.
playing in that world because sleep to me is the most important thing we do. And so the whole afternoon and evening should be aligning towards perfect sleep. So I
Yeah.
think of it as 3 hours before dinner, stop 3 hours before sleep, stop eating. So dinner should be done by 7. By 8, finish up all work for the day. No more laptop or devices, which takes quite a bit of discipline. By 9, have the house wound down, whatever responsibilities you have, so that 9 to 10 is hot shower, pajamas, reading a book, like really easing in towards being asleep by 10. And when you can gift yourself that, I think that is the most profound, game-changing health habit we can gift ourselves for our longevity, for our productivity, for our focus, for our energy, and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. And I love how you mentioned blue light
Yeah.
earlier on. I don't think enough doctors acknowledge the issues that that creates and how it just screws up our circadian rhythm. I mean, I'm in a studio right now and I've got these blaring lights
Yeah, me too.
because, I need them, but they're not good. And I would never stand in front of these at 8, 9 o'clock at night because I'm sending a message to my brain that it's noon. But just even with kids, like, so many of us parents are guilty of having digital babysitters, right? So they're on electronics and trying to pry them off
It's really
electronics.
hard.
It's challenging, right? Like we're in this weird time in history where we're so dependent, adults too, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, they're on their computers until bedtime and then they wonder why they're tossing and turning. And then they grab their cell phone and they're
Yeah.
scrolling through social media at 2 in the morning because they can't sleep.
Yep.
Well, guess why, right? I mean,
Exactly.
it's a light issue. And so what we try to do in our house is we start turning the lights down after a certain time. I even replaced some bulbs. My daughter makes fun of me, but I even replaced some bulbs with like the red. It's like a red bulb, but like she's like, it looks like Halloween here now. But I mean, it changes the light in the house, and I think that's important at night. Yeah, it looks a little weird if somebody comes to the house at night or whatever, but I just think it's better for the body. It sends the right signals to the body. You know what I mean?
It does. And I think we're going to see a huge shift in that direction. I think homes are going to be built around this thought process of our health. Like every room should have a dimmer. We'll probably have lamps with red light bulbs instead of regular bulbs. I think of it as when we have little kids, we do a whole song and dance to get them to bed. Turn off, close the blinds, make it dark, music, essential oils, give them a massage, then a bath, then bed. And so I think as adults, we just assume that we can go from 200 miles an hour to sleep. And I
Yeah.
expect that of myself. I get DMs and messages constantly. It's not like my phone is always put down by 9. And
Yeah.
so I tell myself, look, you have to put this down and you have to switch now. It has to be your tea, your hot shower, heating
Yeah.
pad, get in bed, read a book. Because otherwise, we're not creating that ritual that'll lead us
Yeah.
to that good sleep. And so I think of that for the kids as well. I'm like, okay, bedtime, and I'm trying to leave all the devices downstairs so that we don't go upstairs with them.
Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. Leave them on the table. They
Yeah.
don't. They don't make it up the stairs.
We have a little temple, so I'm like, leave your phone with God. Leave it there.
There you go.
It's being watched, okay? Leave it.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm really bad with that. I have to admit.
I am too. It's
I'm
tough.
I watch TV and I watch. I'm a Netflix binger. Whatever it is. But I use the blue light glasses and I don't use Wi-Fi, so it's all hardwired. So there's a little less of that EMF and nonsense in the air. But I got to get better at that.
And I also invite people to make a tech bubble around their bed. Like in my bedroom, no laptops, no printers, no TV. Yes, my iPhone is there, but I charge my iPhone at least 10 feet from me. So if I want my phone, I have to go get up and go get it. And that helps too, because then there's no stimulation. Because if I had all that stuff, it would interfere.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
People sleep with their phones, live phones on their night tables.
Some under their pillow. I'm like, you guys, you're killing yourself.
That's
Please
terrifying. Yeah.
stop. And
Yeah.
at night, I'll unplug Wi-Fi from upstairs and I'll unplug any printers because I just don't want
Good for you.
technology on that floor with us.
Yeah.
One day, I should program my house Wi-Fi to shut off at a certain point.
Yeah.
Like no one needs
Yeah.
it from probably midnight or 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. So why is
Yeah.
it on?
Oh, definitely. We went all out. We hardwired our entire home, so we don't have Wi-Fi at all unless we're like having access a printer or we're doing like what do you call it? What's the I'm
Like
having like an old
Bluetooth
man moment
music.
where you do the when you share between Mac devices.
Oh,
What's that?
yes. Bluetooth,
Oh,
AirDrop.
AirDrop. Thank you. Thank you. See, I
Yeah.
need more turmeric for my brain.
We all do.
Yeah.
I really think a lot about my brain health. I'm like, you know what? I really need my brain firing. So I eat walnuts, I take my turmeric, I take probiotics
Yeah.
because gut health is brain health. Like
Yeah.
brain health is a big focus of mine as I age because otherwise I don't get to do what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any supplement like in your anything in your line that focuses on brain health?
You know, ashwagandha, brahmi are both for brain. So sleep
Okay.
tea at night would support brain clearing and brain support overnight. And then
Hmm.
turmeric itself increases blood flow. It has a blood thinning effect. So it'll
Hmm.
increase blood flow. So a lot of times we talk about lack of blood flow nowadays, lack of nitric oxide.
Yeah.
Turmeric does that job. So to me, I
Wow.
kind of take my turmeric as my jack of all trades, but then I
Yeah,
add
no
in little
kidding.
things. I add in walnuts or more walking, more exercise for brain health.
Yeah. Is there anybody that you've ever encountered that had a bad reaction with turmeric or that where it was a contraindication with anything that they were taking? Like I know blood thinners are probably a bad idea.
Exactly. So
But
anyone on a blood thinner, no turmeric. I tell all my doctors that. Anyone who has kidney stones should keep an eye because it can have an effect there. Anyone who has low iron, keep an eye because it can give you lower iron because it's thinning the blood.
yeah.
And that's pretty much it. That's most of it. But I do see people sometimes who just are allergic. They're allergic to black pepper, which I found so interesting. I was like,
Hmm.
wow, I ate every pepper on earth. And then some can be very few people, but they have intolerances to turmeric as a food.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
it happens.
So yeah. So Shivani, how can people find you?
Sure. So my website is shivanigupta.com, my name, ShivanIGupta, and I'm at dr.shivanigupta on Instagram and all the social channels. My supplement company is fusionaryformulas.com, FUSIONARY formulas, and we're that name on all the social channels. And my podcast is Fusionary Health Podcast, and we made you a special code, Mike C, MIKESEA. Will give your listeners 15% off at Fusionary Formulas.
Awesome. We appreciate that. We'll put that in the show notes and thank you for being generous with your awesome supplement line.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, it was a pleasure. And yeah, keep doing the work you're doing because it's awesome and we need more researchers and docs like you to have a positive impact on people's health because like we say, we're all kind of going in the wrong direction these days.
Yeah, we got to keep helping each other and get in that right direction and do better and better every day. And we're totally going to win at health. I know we are. We just have to put in the work.
Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, or check us out at mikecpodcast.com. Until next time, we're out of here. Thanks, guys.
The Mike C Podcast.